Hey, good morning. Welcome to Shop Talks, presentation of Impressions show here, Impressions Magazine, and the Ink Kitchen, which is a media company with free information online, YouTube channel, etc. Please check it out. Please appreciate our sponsors, AlphaBroder Stalls, Howard Transfers, Los Angeles Apparel, Hirsch, and Lane 7. You wouldn't have this free information without them. I'm here today with Jed Seifert, and we're going to talk about all the advantages of hiring people that might have some disabilities. So Jed runs a big digital facility in Cleveland that I have been to, we just realized. It's a really impressive place, even if he didn't hire disabled people. So let's hear a little bit about what you're doing there.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Jed Seifert here. My company's Steaks Manufacturing. Started with my best friend Vince since we were 5 years old. We are, as he mentioned, we're a digital shop, so we're a hybrid between DTG and DTF. We do a combination of direct-to-consumer individual order fulfillment, as well as quick-turn, low-minimum wholesale work. Disability inclusion has always been near and dear to our hearts. My brother has Fragile X. It's the leading known cause of autism. And him getting his job changed his life. Gave him independence, the ability to move out of my parents' house, pay his own bills, work friends, purpose, happiness, everything you want in life. Also changed our family's life because, you spend your lives, if you have somebody that you love with disabilities, wondering what's going to happen after you're gone. So them being able to find financial independence is one of the greatest things, and it also impacts the community, right? He went from a dependent to an independent taxpayer, and so we've really tried to take those values and give other people opportunities within our organization. So we've got 21 individuals with disabilities working for us full-time right now.
Wow.
Yep. And then we have a school-to-work transition program with the local county where we have 12 interns a semester who get a dedicated mentor. They come in a couple hours a day, they get high school credit, and the goal is to help them become independent workers. And then at the end, after they graduate, if it's a good fit for them and a good fit for us, they get the opportunity for full-time employment. And we're not talking about charity employment. We're talking about meaningful employment. We're talking about holding your individuals with disabilities the same standards as anybody else. A graduate from that program, our high school to work transition program, is just last month was our #1 warehouse employee out of 50. And that's just based off of speed and accuracy. So what we're here doing is really to try to enlighten the industry on sort of the value of hiring people with disabilities, especially during a time right now where it's pretty hard to hire. Labor force is not what it used to be. And there's a whole untapped workforce that is out there that's ready to go to work. And really also want to talk with you guys about the services that are there to support you, because there's some amazing services out there that will help you hire, coach, train, not just the employees, but even the managers.
Wow, that is extremely impressive. Yeah, I introduced you earlier to my friend with a company in Aruba, and I went there and he only had maybe 12 employees or 15, and 3 of them could not hear. They're all sign language. But if you're reclaiming, it's almost a benefit because you don't have to have ear protection. He couldn't hear at all. Yeah. And they were some of his best employees. So absolutely. It really, just because one thing doesn't go well doesn't mean you can't do a lot of other things, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And
I should also tell you that his facility is like super high-tech facility, one of the most impressive production facilities that you will ever see. It's in a building that used to be a Walmart building. This is not a small place, and for you to keep track and have all kinds of employees must not be that easy, I would think, except you're saying it's not that bad, right?
They're literally some of our best employees. Everything that we do, most of the stuff we do in our facility is repetitive. Some high-skilled repetitive, some low-skilled repetitive. And people with disabilities, they learn from repetition. And they actually find comfort in repetition. So a lot of our jobs that had the highest turnover rates, because maybe it's monotonous putting a hang tag on something all day or pressing a shirt all day, we actually have some of our longest tenured employees And our fourth best shipper has autism. And we've got a variety of disabilities throughout the facility, from autism to cerebral palsy to Asperger's. And it's really, as managers, our jobs are to find people's abilities and cultivate those and set them up for success. It's no different with people with disabilities, right? And I think all too often we put people with disabilities into a box and go, oh, they can only do the low-skilled stuff. We got a lady with cerebral palsy who's got a degree in cybersecurity. She started working with us folding T-shirts because nobody would hire her.
Be quiet, someone's gonna poach her.
Well, she now does all types of reports, and she's on a computer all day now, doing what she should be doing and what she loves doing. And I think the other big part is, what people don't understand is all the free services out there. There are disability employment inclusion companies that really, they support you, right? A lot of them are federally funded. What they'll do is they'll help you find qualified candidates. They'll screen them. They'll help you train them. They'll also help you train your employees. And this is all free service to you guys. I don't know anybody else who can find somebody who's gonna hire for you, train for you, and make sure that the employees are doing their job and doing it at a very high level.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was blown away because we need that.
Yeah.
Everybody I know has trouble hiring people right now. So, and then do you make special accommodations for folks? How much work is that, and what kinds of things do you look at doing that are worth doing to make sure that all kinds of folks can work at your place?
It's all case by case. It depends on the employee, right? We have some deaf individuals, so obviously we have to make some accommodations if I'm gonna do a company meeting to make sure that they're taken care of and they're communicated to just like anybody else. Some of our training programs get tailored to the individual, but a lot of that's helped by these disability employment service providers. They really help sort of unlock this. I think a lot of people's hesitation for hiring people with disabilities is they think they're overwhelmed or they don't have the managers that can handle it. But the reality is these guys will help you and it'll make your managers better, right? This isn't just about those individual employees. That's what I think I really want to get across here. Us hiring individuals with disabilities actually made everybody else on our staff better. It made our managers better. It made our other employees more empathetic. When you're getting your butts kicked in KPIs by people who have disabilities, it's also a motivating factor, right? But I think it also took, we have about 225 people at our company, but it also made us more of a family atmosphere, brought people together like we had never seen before. So there's a tremendous ROI, and I'll repeat it again. This is not charity. You don't do this for the warm and fuzzies. If you're doing it for that, it's gonna be short-lived. We're talking about real meaningful employment, people that are gonna make an impact, people that you can hold to the same quality standards, the same output standards. Maybe you have to train them a little differently. Maybe you have to tailor it a little differently. Maybe you have to make some accommodations. But I'll tell you what.
We accommodate everybody.
We accommodate
anyway,
everybody, right? Everybody's got some accommodation of something that you have to tailor for them.
Just not as obvious sometimes.
Right. And I don't know about you guys, but turnover rate is as high as it's ever been. But with our disabled employees, it's infinitely lower. I mean, so while you might do an extra week or two of upfront training, if you're not rehiring that position every 9 months, the ROI is huge.
If they showed up when they said they were going to start working, that would be pretty good.
Forget just showing up. How about showing up and wanting to be there, and having an infectious attitude because you're just grateful and happy to have your job and be there and be supported, and it makes everybody else around them happier too.
So how do you, so someone that has not reached, I mean, you probably have a reputation for doing this, people might find you, but how would people get started being more inclusive in their hiring?
Well, we started off really, it was a 3-year plan for us when we started this business. The first year was hire people with disabilities by any means necessary. We wanted to find disability employment service providers. I sit on the board of directors for a company, Seek, in the DC area that helps support my brother. And we really wanted to take the model that we learned there and replicate it. But just like finding any hiring agency, you got to find the right one that's the right fit for you, right? And in different areas, there's more or less resources. We started by putting in our ads, just simply saying, hey, we hire people with all abilities. I think a lot of people put that they're inclusive businesses in their ads, but usually it touches on, race, religion, socioeconomic status, age, all of that stuff. But disabilities usually gets left in the dark. You're talking about a population that 20% of America has disabilities in some form, yet you have an exponentially lower employment rate. 80% of people with developmental disabilities don't have jobs. And that's not because they don't want them. And everybody's sitting here complaining that they can't find employees. But there's this untapped workforce that wants to come to work. So to answer your question more specifically, you can check with your local resources to find local disability employment service providers. You can go, every state has a vocational rehabilitation office. Some of those vocational rehabilitation offices provide these services. Some of them will refer you to local organizations that can provide them for you. There's an organization named APSE, which is apse.org. They are kind of the Printing United Alliance of the disability employment service providers. So they can help you find local service providers. But I think you start as quickly as just putting in your ads. And, and you do have to adapt certain things, right? The interview process might be a bit different. But using these disability employment service providers, it's literally having an extra free manager. So when your manager goes through a situation, so hey, how do we accommodate so-and-so? Or the individual who's our best warehouse employee was during his break, we had a nervous thing where he's turning signs around. So we, called his job counselor, and the job counselor talked to him and talked to his parents, and
He started making two-sided signs.
and then it just stopped and then it stopped happening. It's not always clean cut like that. But the point is there's people out there that will support you, and it's free services to you guys. So it really makes it a lot easier than people think. And how quickly it will impact your company is instantaneous. And you start with one person. It might even be part-time, because there's a lot of archaic laws out there that hinder people with disabilities from even working full-time without losing their services. So there's a ton of part-time workers out there that are ready to work for you as well. And you got to get buy-in from your employees and your managers. We started in our warehouse because of the manager, and because we just thought, picking shirts, tagging them, staging was sort of a great starting position. I went to the manager day one, and I said, hey, if this ever impacts your ability to do your job and hit your numbers, you have to tell me. Just because me and Vince are passionate about this, we're still running a business here. This is not charity. So I went back to him a month later. I said, hey, how you doing? How's it working? He said, great. I said, well, is it impacting your ability to hit your numbers? No. Obviously, one of his best employees. It's a graduate from our school to work transition program. And I said, well, how are you feeling about it? He said, Jed, before this, I was just moving cotton around a building. I didn't care. I was just coming here and doing my checklist. It's like, now I feel like I'm changing people's lives because I am. So it also gave meaning to a job that maybe didn't have meaning to him before. And that type of feeling, you can't put a price tag on that. You want to talk about employee retention and creating a positive culture, that's how you do it.
So you have almost 10% of your employees, is that right?
I think we're at about 7.5% right now.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So that's over what period of time did you ramp up to that?
We started, I think we had a couple individuals the first year. By the second year, we're probably in the teens. This past year, we got to about 20. Another interesting thing happened. So we started talking to all of our employees about inclusion. APSE, who I mentioned, is the National Trade Organization for Disability Employment Service Providers. We were humbled enough we were named National Employee of the Year last year. Voted by all the service providers across the nation, which was a pretty incredible experience. And we told all of our staff about it, and we were so proud. And one of my best moments of last year, professionally, was when two individuals came up to me after our town hall meeting and said, hey, thank you so much for everything you guys are doing. I actually have a disability. I've never told an employer before because I didn't think they would hire me. But you've created an atmosphere where I can be open about it, where I feel comfortable in my own skin. We didn't know. They were, one was an operator working on our corn eats, and another one was in our fulfillment department. And that was a beautiful experience for us to just understand that, like, we've created this wonderful, inclusive culture, and really brought in a forgotten demographic of folks that all want to work. And again, as I started off, you're not just changing that individual's life, you're changing their family's lives. And I don't know if you're going to get that just throwing ink on a cotton T-shirt.
So what kind of accommodations did you have to make as you've gone on this path? Like, what kind of things have you had to do at work to maybe change things, besides people's attitudes, which sounds like the most important thing?
Well, I think people bought into it really quick. I also want to say, even though I've got a brother with disabilities and I've been highly involved with Special Olympics and stuff my whole life, you're not going to get it right. Like, you're going to fail just like we fail in everything. We had 4 deaf individuals on our staff, and I do town halls every once in a while. We got some really good news. I wanted to do an impromptu town hall. We thought we were going to use an app that was going to hear me talking and allow them to read what I was doing. They were also going to sit in the front so they could read my lips, and they had their manager sitting next to them to also help. The app didn't really work. The accommodation didn't work. They were frustrated, to be very frank. It was an emotional day for me because we're out here trying to do the exact opposite, and for somebody to feel not included within our organization. So I spent the next hour redoing the meeting with them, just the 2 of them. But you learn from that. I once had a company tell me, hey, I love what you're doing. We tried it. It didn't work for us. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, we hired 2 individuals with disabilities, and it didn't work out. First thing I said was, well, if you hired 2 women and they didn't work out, would you just stop hiring women? And the second thing I asked them was, did you use a disability employment service provider? And they said, no. I said, well, there's free services out there that are going to help you make this work. They're going to train your folks. They're going to screen your folks. The best part is them training your managers. We talk about accommodations too, safety.
I mean, you're in Ohio. It's not like California or Massachusetts, where I'm from, where there are a lot of services. You still have services, right?
There's services pretty much all over the country. And you can find me. I'm Jed Seifert. You can find me on LinkedIn. I will help you find a service provider in your area. More than happy to.
This is on tape, so that's good.
I'm all about it. But you also talk about accommodations. So, for example, when we transitioned out of the warehouse and we started having folks heat press, there was this initial apprehension. You got heat, somebody could get burnt and hurt. So we started talking about safety precautions. But the reality is, everything we were doing for safety for the individuals with disabilities, we should have already been doing for everybody else. So, it was just making our whole facility safer and more accommodating to everybody. All
right, you can stick around for a minute?
Yeah.
All right, so Jed will be around if you're too shy to ask a public question. He's here, wealth of knowledge about this. And how about a hand for Jed Seifert?
Thank you guys very much. And I'll just repeat to everybody, I'm Jed Seifert, Stakes Manufacturing. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to help you in this journey to get started, help you refer you to local service providers, or even bounce ideas off me. I'm more than happy to help. This is our passion, and the fact that we can take printing T-shirts and combine it with our passion has really changed our lives, and we're hopeful that we can help you guys kind of realize that as well. Thank you guys all for joining us.